All right, so welcome to this deep dive. And today we're going to be looking at something called CloneBuddy AI.
Mm.
You sent this over to us, and it's a software that's, well, caught your eye.
Yeah.
We've got this sales page, and let me tell you, it's packed with some pretty bold claims.
Yeah.
They're promising to, clone any website in, just 60 seconds, along with a whole bunch of other, features and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. They're positioning this software as like an all-in-one solution. So basically they're saying, hey, you don't need website builders, you don't need hosting services, you don't need SEO tools, you don't even need designers. Like, it's all powered by AI.
Right. And they're definitely not shying away from using, that really attention-grabbing language. Like, one of the first things you see on there is this headline, clone, migrate, and host ADMY website online in 60 seconds.
Right.
I mean, that's a pretty impressive claim.
But is it really possible to clone any website that quickly? I mean, like, how does that even, work? Yeah, that's a great question. Technically speaking, copying the visual stuff you see on a website, like the text, the images, the basic layout, that could be done pretty fast, actually. But websites they're more than just what you see on the surface, right?
Okay, so what's going on behind the scenes that might make this 60-second claim, maybe a little bit more complicated than they're making it sound?
Yeah, so think about things like databases. A database is kind of like the brain of a website. It stores all the dynamic information like user accounts, if you've got a website that has user accounts or product details or blog posts. And copying a database, it's not as simple as copying a file.
Ah.
It requires understanding how that data is structured, making sure it transfers over correctly.
So even if CloneBuddy AI could grab, the basic look of a website in 60 seconds, cloning the functionality and all the data behind it, that could be a whole other story.
Exactly. And that's just one aspect of it, right?
Mhm.
They also talk about cloning things like server-side scripts, which are basically bits of code that run on the web server to power dynamic features. And replicating those accurately would require a pretty deep understanding of the original website's architecture.
Yeah, and this reminds me of something else they really highlight on the page, is the ability to clone e-commerce websites, right?
Right.
And those could be incredibly complex, right?
Yeah.
You got payment processing, inventory management, all sorts of intricate systems. Can you really clone all of that in a minute?
Yeah, that's where I think a healthy dose of skepticism is definitely warranted. While AI is capable of amazing things, claiming to clone, really complex e-commerce functionality in such a short time frame, it seems unlikely. There are just too many moving parts that need to be understood and replicated accurately for that to really work.
Yeah. And, they don't just stop at cloning, right? The sales page goes on to list all these additional features like AI-powered content rewriting and translation, on-page SEO optimization, mobile responsiveness. They even talk about a commercial license to sell cloned websites.
Yeah.
It's like they threw every possible feature into the mix.
Yeah, it does. It does come across as a bit overwhelming, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I think it's important to remember that each of those features has its own complexities. For instance, they talk about on-page SEO optimization.
Yeah.
While AI can certainly assist with SEO, it's not a magic button you can just press.
Right. You can't just plug in a website into an AI and expect it to rank #1 on Google or something like that.
Abstract.
Right? So for those who might not be super familiar with SEO, what exactly is it and why is it so important in the whole website world?
Yeah, so SEO or search engine optimization, it's all about making your website more visible in search results. So when you search for something on Google, you want your website to show up at the top of the list, right? AI can definitely help with things like keyword research and stuff like that. But ultimately, good SEO requires high quality content, a well-structured website, and a lot of ongoing effort.
So it sounds like even with CloneBuddy AI's supposed AI-powered SEO tools, you'd still need to understand the fundamentals of SEO to actually use it effectively.
Absolutely, yeah. AI can assist and automate certain tasks,
Yeah.
but it's not a substitute for actual knowledge and expertise, and that applies to most of the features they list, right? It's easy to get swept up in the excitement of AI doing everything, but the reality is that human expertise is still crucial.
That's a great point. Now, let's talk about some of the specific examples they use to try to showcase CloneBuddy AI's capabilities. One that really stood out to me was this claim of like cloning a quote $10,000 custom built site in under a minute. Like, does that even sound realistic?
I mean, it depends on what they mean by cloning, right? If they're just talking about capturing the visual design and the front end code, then yeah, it might be technically feasible to do that pretty quickly. However, if they're suggesting that they can replicate all the custom functionality, the databases, the integrations of a really complex website in that time frame, then no, it's highly unlikely.
And that raises another question for me, which is, let's say they could clone the look and feel of a website really quickly.
Right.
What about like the legal side of things?
Right.
They even use phrases like legally hijack your competitors in their marketing. What are the potential like implications there? Is that even like legal?
Yeah, that language is concerning.
Yeah.
It raises some definite red flags for me. While they might be using it just for, shock value, I think it's really crucial to understand that copyright law protects original works, including website design and content.
So even if you could technically clone a website,
Yeah.
like using those cloned elements without permission could get you into some serious legal trouble.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine cloning a website that uses a unique copyrighted design element. Using that on your clone site without permission, that could definitely lead to a copyright infringement lawsuit.
So clone with caution is probably the best advice here.
Yeah.
Especially considering they also mention a feature called a customer aggregator that supposedly helps you find clients to sell these cloned websites to. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that just adds another layer of potential legal complexity.
Yeah, absolutely. The legal and ethical implications of website cloning are something we definitely need to delve deeper into. But first, I think we should talk about those glowing testimonials they feature on the sales page, right?
Yeah.
They've got all these supposedly satisfied users raving about CloneBuddy AI, but how do we know if these testimonials are actually genuine?
Right, because anyone can, like, write a glowing review, whether they've actually used the product or not, right? So what are some things we should, like, look for to determine the credibility of these testimonials?
Yeah, that's a great question. We'll discuss how to evaluate testimonials, the importance of independent research, and the potential red flags to watch out for right after this. All right, welcome back. So let's pick up right where we left off, talking about those glowing testimonials that they feature on that CloneBuddy AI sales page.
Yeah, those are pretty interesting.
Yeah, and while testimonials can be like really powerful marketing tools, they can also be a little misleading sometimes.
Yeah, you're right. It's easy to get caught up in that excitement of reading, all these positive reviews. But it's important to approach them with like a critical eye, right? Like,
Right.
how can our listener actually like, tell if a testimonial is genuine or if it's potentially like, made up or something like that.
Yeah, one thing to look for is verification,
Mhm.
right? Are these testimonials, from real users with verifiable identities? Can you find any information about these people,
Mhm.
online, maybe on professional networks like LinkedIn or even through a simple Google search?
Yeah, that makes sense. If you can actually like connect a testimonial to a real person with a legitimate online presence, it does add that extra layer of credibility. What else should we be watching out for?
Yeah, I would say pay attention to the language that's used in the testimonials. Are the claims specific and believable, or do they sound kind of generic and exaggerated? Real users often provide specific details about their experience, whereas fabricated testimonials tend to rely on just vague praise.
So instead of just saying like this software is amazing,
Hmm.
a genuine testimonial might say something like, I was able to clone my e-commerce site and have it up and running in a few hours.
Exactly. Yeah, specificity is key. Another red flag is if all the testimonials sound like overly positive.
Okay.
No mention of any challenges or limitations. Every product has, its pros and cons, and genuine feedback usually reflects that.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like when you read online reviews. If everything is 5 stars and there's no like constructive criticism, it makes you kind of wonder. Speaking of things that sound a little too good to be true, let's talk about CloneBuddy AI's founder's story.
Yeah.
They paint this picture of this guy Kundan going from like rags to riches thanks to this revolutionary AI technology. Like, should we take that narrative uh, at face value?
I mean, founder stories, they can be inspiring, but it's essential to kind of separate the narrative from the facts.
Yeah.
Like it's easy to create a compelling backstory, but what really matters is the substance behind it.
Okay.
Right. So I would say, do some research on Kundin. Look for his professional background, any previous projects, any verifiable achievements in the tech industry.
So instead of being swayed by a well-crafted story, we should focus on the founder's actual track record and expertise.
Right.
Because a compelling story doesn't necessarily equal a reliable product.
Precisely. And this brings us back to the importance of doing your own research, right?
Yeah.
Like, don't just rely on the information that's presented in the sales material. Look for independent reviews, maybe from reputable sources, tech publications, or industry experts who have actually tested the software.
That's a great tip. When we're bombarded with so much marketing information these days, it's easy to fall into that trap of just believing what we see without really digging a little deeper.
Yeah.
Are there any specific resources you would recommend for evaluating AI related claims?
Absolutely. When researching AI tools, I would say look for sources like independent benchmark tests.
Okay.
So these tests, they compare, different AI products head to head, which can provide a more objective assessment of their capabilities.
Got it.
Also, keep an eye out for in-depth reviews from trusted tech publications. These reviews often go beyond just the surface and delve into the technical aspects, providing a more balanced perspective.
Those are really helpful suggestions. It's like with any new technology, you want to see what the experts are saying, not just what the company's marketing team is telling you. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about the pricing. CloneBuddy AI is offering this incredible deal, right? It's a one-time fee of $15 instead of a $97 monthly subscription.
Wow.
Which seems ridiculously low, especially considering all the features they claim to offer.
It certainly is attention grabbing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think this type of pricing model often raises some questions. If the software is as revolutionary and valuable as they claim, why offer it at such a steep discount?
Right. It makes you wonder if there's a catch. Are they planning to increase the price significantly after this, initial offer period?
Right.
Or maybe they're collecting, user data to sell to third parties or something. I mean, it's important to consider the potential motivations behind such an aggressive pricing strategy.
Exactly. And let's not forget those scarcity tactics they employ, right?
Oh, yeah.
They emphasize that the offer is only available to the first 20 buyers, that the price will increase soon, and that licenses are limited.
Right.
All these are classic marketing techniques designed to create a sense of urgency and encourage impulse purchases.
It really plays on that, fear of missing out, doesn't it?
It does.
But it's crucial to just step back for a second and ask yourself, do you really need this software?
Right.
Does it solve a problem you actually have?
Mm.
Or are you just being swayed by these clever marketing tactics?
Yeah, that's a great point. It's so easy to get caught up in the hype, especially when something seems like, such a good deal. But the key is to make informed decisions based on your specific needs and circumstances, not just based on emotional triggers.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
From evaluating testimonials to understanding the technical nuances of website cloning and the potential legal pitfalls. We've also talked about the importance of independent research and not being swayed by marketing hype. But let's not lose sight of the bigger picture here, right? Let's say, hypothetically, that CloneBuddy AI could actually deliver on all of its promises. What would that mean for the internet as we know it?
That's where it gets really interesting, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about the potential to reshape the entire online landscape. If anyone could instantly replicate, any website they wanted, it would raise some really profound questions.
Right. Think about it. What would happen to the concept of originality and creativity in web design if anyone could just clone the look and feel of another site?
Right.
How would businesses compete if their entire online presence could be easily copied?
Yeah, those are just a few of the the many questions that arise when we consider the potential impact of widespread website cloning,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And these are questions that go beyond just the technical aspects, right? We're talking about the potential societal and economic implications as well.
It's almost like we're stepping into like science fiction territory, isn't it?
Yeah, it kind of
But as AI technology continues to advance, these are the kinds of conversations we need to be having.
absolutely. It's about understanding the potential benefits and drawbacks of these powerful technologies and ensuring that we use them responsibly and ethically.
Well, we've covered a lot of fascinating ground in this deep dive.
Mm.
What are some key takeaways you'd like our listener to remember as they continue to explore this world of AI and website cloning?
I would say, first and foremost, approach any claims about AI with a healthy dose of skepticism. Right, like don't believe everything you read on a sales page or in a marketing campaign.
Right.
Do your own research, consult reputable sources, and look for evidence to support those
It's
claims.
about being an informed consumer,
It
right?
is, yeah.
Just because something sounds like, impressive or uses buzzwords like AI powered
Hmm.
doesn't necessarily mean it's as groundbreaking as it claims to be.
Exactly. And always remember that technology is a tool.
Yeah.
It can be incredibly powerful and helpful, but it's not a magic solution. Success in any field, especially in the online world, it still requires knowledge, skill, and effort.
So it's about finding that balance between embracing innovation and approaching it with a critical, informed mindset.
Exactly.
And on that note, do you have any like final thoughts or questions to leave our listener with as they continue to ponder this complex topic?
It sounds like, navigating this whole world of AI and website cloning, it really requires like a balance of curiosity and caution,
Yeah.
right? You got to be excited about the possibilities while also being aware of the potential, downsides.
Right. It's like we want to be optimistic, but we also want to be like, you know, realistic.
Exactly. And to add to that, remember that technology, especially AI, it's constantly evolving, right? What seems impossible today might be, commonplace tomorrow.
Hmm.
So staying informed and keeping an open mind, that's key.
So it's not just about like evaluating the claims that are being made right now, but also like considering how this technology might evolve in the future and what that
Yeah.
what that could mean.
Exactly. We've talked about the potential impact on, web design and online business, but think about the broader implications, right?
Yeah.
What happens when AI can create like realistic looking websites complete with, seemingly genuine content and user testimonials, all at the click of a button.
Yeah. How do we even like tell what's real from what's fake in that kind of world?
It's a challenge we're going to face increasingly as AI becomes, more and more sophisticated. And it highlights the need for things like critical thinking, media literacy, the ability to really evaluate information sources carefully. We can't just passively consume information anymore. We need to actively engage with it, question it, verify it.
So in a way, like the rise of AI is kind of like forcing us to become like more discerning consumers of information,
Yeah.
more aware of, potential biases and more critical in our thinking.
Absolutely. And it's not just about being skeptical of everything we see online, but also about understanding how these technologies work, their limitations and their potential impact on society as a whole. It's about being, informed participants in the digital landscape rather than just passive bystanders.
Yeah, I like that. Informed participants, right?
Yeah.
It's not about like rejecting technology altogether.
Right.
It's about understanding it and shaping how it's used.
Right.
Now, before we wrap up, I
Mhm.
wanted to kind of circle back to one last thought-provoking question. We've talked about like the potential for misuse, right?
Yeah.
But let's flip the script for a moment. Could there be any like positive or beneficial applications of this website cloning technology?
That's a great question. And the answer is yes, there could be. Imagine using this technology for educational purposes.
Okay.
For example, students could learn about web design and development by cloning existing websites and kind of experimenting with different elements, right? Or think about historical preservation. We could use AI to create digital archives of websites that are no longer active, preserving them for future generations.
Those are some really interesting ideas. It's like any tool, right? It can be used for good or for bad.
Yeah.
It all depends on the on the intentions behind it.
Well said. And that's what makes this such a fascinating and complex topic. It's not a simple black and white issue, right? There are shades of gray, ethical dilemmas, and a lot of unknowns. And that's precisely why it's so important to have these conversations, to explore different perspectives, and to think critically about the role of AI in our lives.
It's been a really insightful deep dive. We've covered so much, from dissecting those marketing claims to exploring the technical, intricacies of website cloning and pondering its potential impact on society. We've talked about the need for skepticism, independent research, and informed decision making, and we've even touched upon some potential positive applications of this technology. What a journey!
I agree. It's been a really thought-provoking discussion. And ultimately, I hope our listener walks away with a deeper understanding of this technology, a heightened awareness of the questions that we need to be asking, and a sense of empowerment to engage critically with the ever-evolving world of AI.
That's a perfect note to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of CloneBuddy AI and the fascinating realm of website cloning technology. Until next time.